A very warm welcome to the distinguished panelists of today's session, and obviously to all of you tuning in either live or watching this as a recorded event. My name is Mariana Živković-Matega, and I'm the Strategic Engagement Manager at the Institution of the Occupational Safety and Health, IOSH, the chartered body and the world's largest membership organization for safety and health practitioners, with over 48,000 members in around 130 countries, including in West Africa. Today, we will try to address the topic of challenges and opportunities for infrastructure development and inward investment in West Africa. Our speakers today come from very different backgrounds, which means that we will be presented with different angles and views as related to the topic. Hopefully, this will stimulate ideas and questions, either ones that we never asked ourselves or ones that we would like to ask to the panelists. With us today, we have Ms. Naomi Emeka Nwaokolo, Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact Nigeria Network. The United Nations Global Compact Network in Nigeria is a business-led sustainability initiative of the United Nations Global Compact, and it was launched in Nigeria in 2007 during the Nigerian Economic Summit. The Global Compact Local Network Nigeria has the mission to promote the United Nations Global Compact 10 principles and SDGs in Nigeria, as well as to contribute to the implementation of the United Nations broader development goals. We have also Mr. David Baxter with us, joining us from the United States. David is a strategy advisor to the World Association of Public-Private Partnership Units and Professionals, and a freelance international development and PPP consultant, currently working as a senior advisor to the International Sustainable and Resilience Center in New Orleans, which is an affiliate organization of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe's PPP Center of Excellence, UNECE. David has provided capacity building programs and infrastructure consulting services to over 40 international clients and business partners located in Africa and around the world. We are delighted to have with us also Mr. Obinna Anyanwu, Country Director in Nigeria for the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council. Obinna has served as Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council's Country Director in Nigeria since 2017, leading the growth of the network from less than 10 strategic partners to the active and engaged network of about 20 that the network has today. He's currently the Managing Director and CEO of Capital Square Limited, an investment and financial advisory firm, and also the Chairman of the financial services group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are happy to be joined also by Mr. Landry Majola, Director General and CEO of Lagos State Safety Commission. The Lagos State Safety Commission was inaugurated on the 5th of May 2009 as an office of public safety under the Ministry of Special Duties to set safety standards for all sectors involved in the socio-economic activities in the state. The issue of safety is a critical tool for the development and protection of valued lives as well as property. And finally, with us today, we also have Mr. Alan Stevens, Head of Strategic Engagement at IOSH, responsible for the global elements of the IOSH 5-year Work 2022 strategy, delivering a safe and healthy world of work through identifying collaborative opportunities in the chosen global markets across Asia and Africa, and through engagement with global entities such as World Bank, World Health Organization, International Labour Organization, and others to act as their delivery arm for their global IOSH projects. The format of the session is as follows. Each of our panelists will make some opening remarks answering the question, what would you say are the primary concerns businesses and decision makers should be addressing in order to ensure sustainable and good quality investment in infrastructure projects and trade? We will then proceed to 2 rounds of questions, followed by a selected number of questions from the audience. I would like to start by inviting Ms. Naomi Emeka Nwaokolo to give us her presentation at the very beginning. Thank you, Naomi.
Speaking from my experience with the private sector, I believe that it is the best interest for an organization to invest in their human capital, since without a motivated, well-skilled, and productive workforce, there is no way that any business can thrive, because employees themselves will not be able to function. So investing in education and ensuring good working conditions by providing a working environment that enhances and not negatively affect the well-being of employees is very important for the long-term growth and sustainability of an organization. An employee's ability to contribute to an organization is an important capital stock for that business, because without a robust stock of human capital, organizations will not be able to perform their operations. Employees will not be able to perform their operations that is required of them in the discharge of their duties. So now we, as a Global Compact organization, I would say that businesses need to be very intentional about ensuring the occupational health and safety of their employees. And especially, this is very central to the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's look at SDG 8, for example, which talks about decent work and economic growth. This is the most relevant goal for companies, because business enterprise can contribute to the achievement of the SDG targets first and foremost, by respecting workers' rights and contributing to decent work priorities through their day-to-day operations and investments, and by using their leverage with business partners. And you see, the concept of decent work it was developed by the International Labour Organizations, which states that employers should offer fundamental rights to their employees. Now we will come. I would touch more on the fundamental rights that I just referred to, that was developed by the International Labour Organizations. But you see that the violation of labor rights in global supply chains occur often in lower tiers of supply chains. So the need. They need to advance decent work and raise the living standards of all workers will require that companies adopt sustainable, responsible, and inclusive workplace practices. And for companies with supply chains to use their leverage to contribute to the realization of this decent work. So for us at the United Nations Global Compact, promoting the respect of labor rights is very core and fundamental to the work that we do. Especially 4 of our 10 principles are on labor rights. The rights that calls for freedom for trade union rights, freedom for peaceful association, freedom from forced labor. We do not encourage any form of child labor, and the need to ensure that employees are well taken care of, ensuring living wage and the likes of them. And this may be among the most specific principles, but that does not really mean that they are the easiest to implement, So putting the labor principles into practice is sometimes very challenging for companies. They have to think of what to do when there's a conflict between national law and international labor standards, and what to do when the government is not really fulfilling the duty to protect. So when they begin to consider this, it's important to align themselves with international best practices, because we know that every year an estimated over 2.78 million workers die from occupational accidents and work-related diseases, while an additional 374 million workers suffer from non-fatal occupational accidents. So if you calculate it, it simply means that about 7,500 people die from unsafe and unhealthy working conditions every single day in the world. And you see, so workplace-related deaths exceed the average annual deaths from road accidents. So this is a very serious issue, and it calls for urgent attention because we need to address it. Now, it brings us back to the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 8. It is seen for the UN Global Compact companies on our survey, it is a top priorities for our companies. 65% of the UN Global Compact companies have reported in 2020 that they have taken actions towards SDG 8. 94% have policies and practices specifically advancing labor's rights, while about 88% companies report to have policies in place to ensure safe working conditions. But only 17% of the responding companies benchmark supply chain partners to our 10 principles. So our ambition really is to increase these numbers. And let me also add that the UN Global Compact works closely with the International Labour Organization to support our participating companies in integrating these principles into their business operations. Unsafe and unhealthy working conditions often result from a combination of underlying causes, such as you can consider the issue of governance gaps, deficient legislative frameworks, insufficient knowledge and resources, unsustainable business practices, and the lack of a culture of prevention at the national and workplace levels. So government and enterprises have their respective roles to play to address OSH challenges, and that's why we have to use our voice, to make this happen. For us at the Global Compact, we are launching at the end of September, together with the International Labour Organization, a brief which will identify at least 9 business practices to improve safety and health through supply chains and create a culture of prevention and protection, because we should also seek to prevent, and we should not wait for the damage to occur and then go to seek remedy in the court, but we could look at prevention and protection as well. So the brief will help companies in taking concrete steps to improve health and safety through their supply chains. And it is about the improvement of working conditions and working environments for workers to ensure that their safety and health are maintained while working, and provides compensation if a work-related issue occurs. I know when I was very active in the courtroom, I've done a series of litigations successfully for employees who were wrongfully terminated from work, who were refused to be given reparation, even or remedies, even when they were seriously injured. So this comes into play, and that's why this brief is going to really address issues like this. So we look at both the prevention side and the protection side, and we also focus on the role that businesses can play in ensuring safe and healthy workplaces, especially when operating in countries with deficient national safety, health, and employment injury protection schemes. So this brief is going to go a long way. So I'll just give you a little of the 9 business practices that the ILO and the UN Global Compact have identified. We talked about it's going to cover the issue of mapping out supply chains to gain a better understanding of existing OSH challenges. It will also include OSH and employment injury protection in procurement practices, improve the monitoring of OSH compliance, including through maybe closer engagement with your suppliers, and then promote workers' participation and social dialogue. So these are just a few of the business practices that this brief will cover. And at the moment, we are reviewing our communication on progress. We call it the COP. It is our reporting mechanism for our participants to make it future fit and strengthen corporate transparency and accountability. So in that our communication on progress that is being reviewed, there will be a mandatory section on occupational safety and health. So UN Global Compact participants will now be required to disclose information on the actions that they take to improve occupational safety and health for all workers engaged in their operation. So you see, these are the issues that we address, and I believe that if every business begins to become intentional about protecting their human capital, it will go a long way in ensuring that their business themselves is very sustainable, and also pave way for good quality investment, because these days investors are looking at your business. How are you protecting your human capital? There are some times when some businesses reach out to us at the Global Compact Network Nigeria and other of our network to say, oh, we are applying for this project, we are applying for this grant, and they're asking for their UN Global Compact participant ID. Because we make this mandatory that you must go through our principles, you must embed it in your company's operations. Because if investors see that you're operating in a very universally acceptable manner, they will want to work with you. So as much as it's good for you to protect your human capital, it also pays way for you to attract investors. So I believe this has answered your question, and I hope I didn't take so much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi, for your presentation. It was really interesting to hear all the points that you've raised. I'm sure there will be more questions from the audience coming later on. I would now like to pass the microphone to Mr. David Baxter. David, over to you.
I'd like to thank you for inviting me to comment on what primary concerns business and decision makers should be addressing in order to attract sustainable, good quality investment, infrastructure projects and trade in West Africa. Many countries grapple with this challenge, and they are faced, with many opportunities to address it, but still struggle slightly. And there are many ideas that have been shared. There are many opportunities that have been shared for ways that the public and the private sector can collaborate better to ensure that these projects are projects that are going to be of interest to parties. I've always stated, that investors are not sentimental. And so if one country offers a better deal than another, they will go to the other country. So this is really incumbent upon countries to create an environment of trust and an environment where good projects are put forward so that there is an effort to create competition and to be successful in this competition with other countries. Remember, if another country offers a better deal, investors will go there. So one of the biggest challenges for projects, and this could be for general projects, but also just specifically for public-private partnerships, is the issue of bankability. And when we're talking about bankability, we're talking about the situation where banks specifically are going to ask, is this project investment worthy? If a project isn't investment worthy, then it's going to be very hard for investors to find backers, and the project will suffer, and most likely it won't happen. So this means that we should not be looking at projects which are egotistical in many ways, or vanity projects that only serve the purpose of a very small group of people or an elite, but projects in general that are going to be successful in their outreach or impact that they have on communities in the large or larger communities. And this means often that we do need to look at the idea of value for money. And when we're talking about value for money, we're talking about what value is this project going to bring to the table. It shouldn't always just be the actual return on investment, but will, and the question that is often mentioned there, will it often bring other benefits to the community? So for example, is it a project that improves health? Is it a project that improves in employment? Is it a project that introduces climate resilience, for example? So these are factors that really need to be considered under value for money. Recently, there's also been a large initiative which has been led by the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. It goes by the acronym UNECE, or UNECE, as people say, based in Geneva, which is focused on the whole idea of people first PPPs. And what are they talking about here? And this is introducing an element of projects that are designed which focus not just on value for money, but also value for people, as I've mentioned, what is their greater benefit. But they also are very focused on future-proofing of projects. We're living in a world that has faced major changes and challenges over the last few years. The pandemic has been, I think, a major trauma for economies around the world. No matter where you are, it's impacted everyone. Even here where I live in the United States, and even in my home country in South Africa, it has major impacts. And this requires an element of projects that are going to focus on the future, long-term projects. Will they survive the future? Will they be able to resist future events? And because of this, we are working in a situation where we need to introduce resilience to projects. So projects that are going to be resilient, that offer resistance, if you can call that, to the expected climate changes or unexpected climate changes, which are resilient, which are flexible to these, are ones that are going to be attractive to investors. So there are certain sectors which are becoming less popular for investment. For example, hydroelectric schemes are suffering in many countries because of decline in rainfall. So, if you have a hydroelectric scheme project in your country and you're facing tremendous climatic challenges due to declining rainfall, for example, is this a project that you should even be considering? Commercial viability and economic viability are also important. So the commercial viability refers to, are people even going to use the project? Unfortunately, in many countries, and in Africa included, projects that are built, don't attract users. And without users, there are going to be no fees being generated. That means that there'll be no revenue, and it means that these projects are destined to failure. So this definitely needs to be addressed. And then the whole idea also of economic viability. Is it affordable? Could people afford to use it? If a project's going to have a certain cost of entry or a cost for use and no one can afford it, then people aren't going to use it and the project will fail. So this is why it's critically important for countries to screen their projects. And this is where I always iterate to people that I work with in emerging economies and in Africa, that you need to have competitive and transparent procurements, because it's only in this way that you can ensure that you are going to get a good project team and a company that will be able to build the project on time, maintain it, operate it, etc. Stakeholder engagement is critically important, and this means that you should work with all parties within the government and outside. I think it's really important that there are greater conversations between the public and the private sector when they engage with one another. It shouldn't be a one-way dialogue. So this means that both the public and the private sector should have opportunities to share ideas that they have, to share innovation, to share concerns, and reach a field where they feel comfortable in operating with one another. There is a great variety of projects, but I would stress again, focus on projects that are going to bring benefits. Are these projects that are going to help your country achieve their sustainable development goals? I'm dead against vanity projects. I don't think vanity projects serve much purpose. And Africa and many other countries are covered with projects that were built that are never being used and have served no purpose. And then finally, I would say that if you are considering unsolicited proposals, often just referred to as USPs, where the private sector solicits a project instead of the government soliciting the project, ensure that all parties understand the project before, and if it's an enormous project that requires competitiveness and transparency, even consider turning it into a competitive procurement. Competitive means that all parties have an equal opportunity. Transparency means that there are no secrets. And if you have competitive and transparent procurements for projects, I believe firmly that you will have many companies that will be interested in submitting proposals, responding to your requests for proposals, and you will improve the quality of the companies and the partners that you have. So I hope these few words will help, and I think it's important that Africa is ready to launch itself, and it has the opportunities, it has the expertise. I firmly believe it has the expertise. It can improve perceptions that exist, and I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for your perspective. Now, I'm delighted to invite Mr. Obinna Nyanwu to say a few words from his own perspective. Obinna, over to you.
Okay, yeah. Beyond the profitability and the common good for most investors, other issues that they're worried about is stable investment regime and policies of the jurisdiction where the project is situated. It's an issue. Most of them want to see clarity and predictability in government policies and all that, as well as also they look out for professionalism. For them, it's very key to ensure that the parties, people that they are getting, engaging with are qualified and have capacity, to transact. Then credibility and transparency is also an issue. Most investors, they want to be sure that they're dealing with credible parties that are transparent, parties that their word is their bond, in terms of, getting into any kind of project, partnering with them, in such investments. Then also, they want to also ensure that they have parties that have long-term view, given the complexity and dynamics, in most project delivery, and given that no two projects are the same, they come with their own individual dynamics and complexities, so they want to be sure, that they have parties that are patient, parties that understand, that projects can be dynamic, so because they want, partners, that they can win with, in terms of delivering and achieving, any project or any investment, that they decide, to go into. Then they also look out for, they want to operate, in an environment, that in quote is corruption free, where they can see the environment is corruption free, and what is in paper is actually what is in paper. They don't want to get into an environment where that doesn't have a level playing field. So that for them is also very key in terms of engagement as well. So they want to be sure that all cards on the table, when they're, transacting or, when they're making any investment, so that's also something that, that is very, very important, and not just probably in Nigeria, but on a global level, most times, people want to be sure, that things are done above board, because I mean, people don't want to get to the other side, and issues come up that might begin to be an issue both for the organization and for the individuals. So they want to be sure that that's not an issue. And also, independent judicial system, is key for, most, investors, they want also to see ease of contract enforcement. If there are issues at some point or at some level, they want to be sure that, there are no issues, so dispute resolution mechanisms are there and they are able to see through it, and to make sure that, so take for instance, maybe you have a project that has a duration of about 10 years, and let's assume there's a dispute. They want to be sure that maybe a year or max 2 years that is resolved, maybe within the judicial system or whatever. And they don't want to be in a situation where it now takes a 20 years for a 10-year project, for issues to be resolved. So that's also something to keep in mind, that most investors, look out for. Then also, the other one is, it cuts across all crimes. So you're looking at safety and security, of the investment, of the investors, assurance that they will be safe and secure, as well as, even for staff, key staff, all the team involved, even for the locals. So they want to be sure, even within the environment, where such, projects take place and all that. So they want to be sure that, people are safe, people are secure, investment is safe, is secure within the economy. So it cuts across not just looking at the investment, but also the individuals, because there's this saying, yes, you might see a huge margin or whatever, or the investment looks quite attractive. You have to be alive, you have to be safe, to be able to see through that. So it's also something that is key, that you see in most places that, investors get worried about, so I mean, we talk about people that want to, so they want to come to probably the jurisdiction called Nigeria, and these are people that have key decision makers and all that. They have families, they have loved ones, so they also like to return back home, so there has to be that assurance, so they have to see that through, and not just that as well. So they want to also make sure at the parties they're engaging with, probably their partners, and also at the workplace, that people are safe and secure, because whether you like it or not, human beings are key to any project that you want to undertake. So if you have an issue where people are not safe, where people are not secured, it will, at end of it, it will affect the project, so, so even if somebody gets out or, so there's that turnaround of getting somebody, replacing the person. So there's a lag. So if the environment is safe and secure, so that guarantees that the investment can run its course, so it can be pretty. We can't overemphasize this, but it's very key, to look at all these, issues that have been enumerated, so I think in a nutshell, that those are some of the things they look out for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm sure Mr. Alan Stevens also has a few words to say on this very important topic, and probably also reflect on some of the elements that were raised just now by other speakers. So, Alan, I invite you to say a few words as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. It's a pleasure to be here and share the stage with other key organisations. As Head of Strategic Engagement at IOSH, I'm lucky to be able to engage and collaborate with many organisations in West Africa and around the world. This year has seen significant new challenges in addition to the existing challenges we typically face in health and safety, and we're all finding new ways to adapt and to overcome these. What COVID-19 brought about is also a heightened understanding and agreement on the importance of health and safety at work amongst global stakeholders, IOSH bodies, trade unions, United Nations agencies such as the ILO and the WHO, and also including the business and investment community. With the disruption to supply chains, which saw factories and workplaces shut down or operating at significantly reduced capacity as a consequence of COVID infections and lockdowns, businesses and investors interested in sustainability of their operations realized more than ever the importance of ensuring the health and safety of the workforce along the supply chains in a sustainable way. That's accompanied by an even stronger drive towards sustainable business and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, led primarily by global initiatives such as the United Nations Global Compact, and the drive towards inclusion of environmental, social, and governance factors in the corporate reporting metrics really brought IOSH's vision for a safe and healthy world of work for all now to a place of even higher prominence. It was fantastic to hear from Naomi Nkwolo, Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact Nigeria Network, about the work of the Global Compact and what it's doing in promoting labour standards and human rights in particular. IOSH joined the UN Global Compact earlier this year as a non-business participant. On the one hand, in order to demonstrate alignment of its own operation with the Global Compact's 10 principles, and on the other, in order to contribute with its IOSH expertise, both on global and local levels. IOSH has members, IOSH professionals in around 130 countries, and we're proud of our growing network of members in West Africa working towards creating safer and healthier workplaces. And we know that keeping people at work safe and healthy is good for organisations and businesses. And at the same time, it's good for wider society. We know how a sudden death or serious injury at work can destabilize families and cause the dependents to disrupt their work or education in order to care for or provide for income in place of their injured or deceased breadwinner. Poor work conditions on a larger scale can lead to workers or their dependents to migrate to other countries, weakening the demographic and economic position of their countries. Naomi talked about the staggering numbers of deaths and injuries in the workplace around the world. The International Labour Organization estimates that, in economic terms, this translates into a loss of 4% of global GDP. IOSH advocates that sustainability of human capital, starting with the health and safety of workers, is in the interests of companies, investors, and governments. This is why decision makers interested in attracting the right kind of investment should pay attention. When it comes to the infrastructure developments, the construction industry is obviously an essential part of the economy in any country and often seen as a driver of economic growth. Yet fatalities and injuries still plague the sector. A study on monitoring and analysis of site accidents on construction sites in Nigeria quotes ignorance, disregarding and lack of equipment as main reasons of behaviours leading to fatalities and serious injuries at work, and concludes that systematic trainings of occupational safety play a key role in improving the situation in the sector. This type of data is something that credible investors examine very, very carefully in their due diligence processes as they look to ensure corporate governance principles, including good human capital management, are respected and implemented by the businesses they invest in. Obviously, as previously mentioned by Obinna Anaweyo, there are other important areas of the investment environment that they will also consider in order to ensure stability and sustainability for their investments. These days, most of the institutional investors will have committed to the United Nations principles of responsible investment, which especially emphasize the importance incorporating the analysis of environmental, social, and corporate governance issues for the performance of investment portfolios. As we heard from David Baxter from the International Sustainability and Resilience Centre, investors are increasingly looking beyond the short-term financial gain to investments and projects that create value for wider society. He talks about the people-first approach to public-private partnership promoted by the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, with focus on improving the quality of life for the communities, particularly those that are fighting poverty, by creating local and sustainable jobs. I'm very hopeful that with the anticipated formalisation in 2022 of the ILO's governing body's decision taken on the 23rd of March 2021, that occupational health and safety should be designated an ILO fundamental right at work, the position of IOSH will be elevated around the world even further. IOSH maintains its strong commitment to the region here in West Africa, and we continue to work with our global partners and local stakeholders to raise awareness of the impact of good IOSH on attracting inward investment to West Africa. Through our West Africa Division network, there is a real opportunity for safety professionals to engage, share knowledge and best practice, and ultimately add value to both the individual careers and the organisations that they work for. I'd like to pay thanks to our members and the tremendous support we receive from them in the course of our work in Africa. There's a real positivity for the future of the IOSH profession. As well as keeping us safe, we're developing further understanding and commitment across Africa that IOSH acts as a key enabler to facilitate improved productivity, increased inward investment and higher profits. Building a strong IOSH system will not only keep us safe, but will fuel economic growth and wider influence from the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan Stevens, and thank you all the participants. And I would like to invite you now to join us back here. And for everyone else's awareness, we also need to apologize because we announced that we will be joined by Mr. Langray Mojola, the CEO of the Lagos State Safety Commission. But unfortunately, due to very last-minute arrangements, he unfortunately wasn't able to join us. I still think you enjoyed this presentation and this session and learned interesting things from our speakers. If we have our panelists back with us, I would like to thank you for your participation, and as a way of introduction to the audience, I would just like to share this information that we are 99 attendees on this call, and I'm delighted to see a variety of people who have joined us. We have CEOs, we have COOs in the audience, we have obviously occupational safety and health practitioners and IOSH members of the West African network. We have training development executives and experts. We have auditors with us. We have lecturers, so I'm very glad that the academia is also present with us. We have students, which is fantastic. We have investment consultants, supervisors. We have business development specialists and so on. It's such a great opportunity and great privilege that you are with us, and we hope that you have enjoyed the session so far. I would like, if you don't mind, to kickstart just with a couple of questions, and then obviously I have seen some interaction in the audience with your own questions, so I will invite you to keep the questions coming. Hopefully we will be joined by Naomi. I hear from the support team that she's experiencing connection problems. And unfortunately, David Baxter is also unable to join us on this occasion. But if any questions to him are directed, we can pass them on and hopefully get back to you with any answers. So I will kick off with the first question, if you don't mind. So again, thank you very much for your presentations. My first question has to do with the investment expectations, investor expectations. So it is more and more commonly agreed that the global investment community is taking consideration of environmental, social, and governance factors, or ESG factors, seriously or predominantly as considering investing in sub-Saharan Africa specifically. And it considers that is closely linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. So ESG factors and Sustainable Development Goals. So what does this, in your opinion, signal to decision makers? What are they looking for? And linked to that, what does it signal specifically as relates to development of national human resource strategies and trainings and training priorities? Alan, perhaps would you like to go ahead first with this one? Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's true. The investors are increasingly expecting companies to be aboard with the sustainability agenda. You know, and it's very much largely down to the global initiatives like the UN Global Compact Principles of Responsibility, responsible investment, should I say. What interests me here is where that boils down to national strategies, where the multilateral view comes towards the national strategies, where ESG considerations and specifically managing the people risk effectively will be critical going forwards for the future success, resilience and sustainability of national economies and national strategies. The transparency for the world to see through national strategies, because of modern media is never been experienced before, as well as connectivity in the supply chains throughout the world. So the national strategies must reflect what the consumers and the investors are seeking, and this absolute pivotal moment. Our role is to elevate IOSH beyond the good points that have been mentioned. Goal 8 about decent work and Goal 3 on the good, healthy working. These SDGs are crucial, of course, but actually we see IOSH being fundamental to at least 51 of the 169 targets across all of the 17 SDGs, where it either directly or indirectly relates to the work that we as IOSH professionals deliver. We have a responsibility to the organisations we work for, but also the societies that we live within. At IOSH, we're proud to say that we're leading the way with this focus on elevating the IOSH agenda, and we welcome people on this session and the wider conference to join us in that movement. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Obina, I wonder from your perspective or perspective from the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, have you had experience where investors have specifically mentioned the relation between Sustainable Development Goals and in their selection or preference for projects that incorporate these considerations? Thank you. I'm afraid the connection is slightly unstable at the moment. These things happen, I'm sure, a lot. So I hope we will have our panelists back with us shortly. To keep the conversation going, I will this time engage Alan once again, and I will ask him another question until hopefully the other panelists are joined. So I'm afraid I'm trying to follow up the instructions from my colleagues from the background, from the technical staff. I apologize. So moving forward, I mean, we can go on with a few. We can go ahead with a few questions from the audience. Obviously, we know that Africa is a continent that's rich in natural resources, and we understand that sustained economic growth is dependent on good infrastructure. Currently, the situation is that there is a deficit in modern infrastructure and connectivity logistics, and this is a challenge for further investment. So what would you see, Alan, is way forward for Africa in terms of future investment, and especially given the current crisis with COVID-19?
Well, I can answer that in general terms. Obviously, I'm not from West Africa, but I'm a frequent guest of the wonderful people of West Africa. And whenever I leave the region, I'm filled with positivity, hope, and excitement, more than anywhere else I visit in the world. The passion, the entrepreneurialism, the desire, and the potential of West Africa is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And if we can get the right infrastructure, if we can get the right inward investment into West Africa, the region and the wider continent will fly, because there is so much potential. We just need these missing ingredients. And so, yeah, I fully agree. Good infrastructure equals good inward investment, but it's a chicken and egg. What comes first? And sadly, as we've heard, investors will invest where there are better conditions. So we have to break this cycle. And there's a responsibility of governments to make the best of the resources to build the infrastructure. For companies that rely on Africa and West Africa for components of their supply chain, and also the good work of the donors where market failure exists. So things like the ILO Vision Zero Fund, where you can see their good work in parts of the world. So the cocktail of the actors that can drive that inward investment will enable the economies to diversify and grow. And until there are reliable electricity supplies, until there's reliable internet, until there's the utilities are in place, it's always going to be a risk for elements of the supply chain to keep their production in West Africa. So you have this historic situation of exporting raw materials and the secondary and tertiary industries happening elsewhere, and that needs to be broken, because what comes with that is good jobs, well-paid jobs, safe jobs. When it comes to COVID, the second part of that question, yeah, I think not just in Africa, but I think everywhere, COVID has forced us all to stop and think about the world of work, and particularly focus on all of our vulnerability. And we've all faced the risk, and we continue to face the risk of sickness and vulnerability that comes with that. But we will build back better. We will build back much better. And we need to put IOSH at the heart of this build back better period. And the IOSH practitioner has a fundamental role to make sure that as we build back, the world is a healthier and safer place. And that can happen anywhere, West Africa, Europe, everywhere we work, regardless of the industry, regardless of the geography. Now is our moment to put good IOSH at the heart of business and government decisions.
Thank you very much, Alan. We have Obina here joining us. I hope you're okay, Obina, to say a few words about sustainable investment and perhaps also how you think COVID-19 has also affected the investors' approach to investing in West Africa. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations once again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, it's basically, investors, that we interact with. you know, as well as the ESG criteria. They want to be investing in projects, that that are quite sustainable, because they reckon that if companies, investments are not complying, they might at some point. One of the things you also see is that even crowdfunding, because the market, they want investments, are sustainable, and they are beginning to reckon that, we have one planet, that the way we interact with the planet and nature, whether we see all the, the natural disasters that happen and all that. So it's something that most people are, are beginning to reckon. And also you've seen businesses, that this sure that, they are then I think about COVID-19, something, it's something that, if you recall, economies were just trying to recover when, COVID-19 came, so we see it's like a double blow, what has happened, but travel restrictions are beginning to be lifted and all that, and people are beginning to travel. Recover, investors are recover, but what has also
obviously another connection problem, but hopefully we have Naomi with us to give us a few thoughts. And before asking Naomi the question, I would like to read out a comment here from Dapo Omolade, who says that organizations, who is very appreciative of your comments, Naomi, that organizations need to be very intentional about the well-being, health and safety of their employees. And we also have a question for you from James Adenuga, group lead at Dangote Group, who's asking, how does UN Global Compact influence national authorities to implement or promote organizational safety performance? Naomi, if you're with us.
Hello, thank you for the question. Yeah, I know when I was introducing the UN Global Compact, I talked about we are a multi-sectoral organization open to businesses, national governments, and civil society organizations, non-for-profit, and even faith-based organizations. So to answer your questions, I think we, as part of our strategy for 2021 to 2023, we are getting involved in driving policies at the national level. So we can see how we can get involved and see how we can support government efforts and get them to really create these policies to support occupational health as well. I know the trade union law in Nigeria supports that, because if you have issues concerning your employer, maybe as regards to occupational health or maybe wrongful termination, you can always rely on the trade union law in the National Industrial Court. But there's still more to do as regards such policies, and we will continue to do our best to work with government and act as put in our efforts to act as a complement to get government efforts as well towards those laws, because they're very, very important at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, one final question probably for all of you, because I'm aware we are approaching that time to say goodbye for this session. But I would like to ask you, in your own words and from your own perspectives, what do you see is way forward for West Africa in terms of sustainable development, and what can be done perhaps in a joined up approach, multi-stakeholder involvement of organizations such as IOSH and organizations from academia. Like we saw, the membership in the audience here is quite diverse. So how do you see the implementation of sustainable development goals in the future in West Africa?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I think the way forward is partnership. We need to amplify partnership for the goals. That is what Goal 17 said. In the UN system and also in the world over, people are advocating for the SDGs, for us to deliver the goals by 2030. There's a target, and right now we are in the decade of action for the SDGs. So all hands have to be on deck. Everybody needs to come together if we want to work towards achieving sustainable development in Africa, not just West Africa as a continent and the entire world. We need to make sure that we amplify partnerships. No one organization can achieve the goal by themselves. IOSH cannot do that by themselves. UN Global Compact cannot do that by themselves. No organization can do that by themselves. We need to come together and see how we can, develop projects, implement projects, and make sure work with the national government. Everybody, including individuals, need to come together to make sure that we deliver the goals. And as regards businesses, I will always say that even the government themselves will not deliver the goals by themselves too. So business organizations, business executives need to become very ambitious, set ambitious corporate targets towards achieving the SDGs. For us, and we, IOSH and the UN Global Compact, we will talk about decent work and economic growth. We need to make sure that we work together to ensure that we achieve the goals. And Goal 8 and all of that goals with are intertwined, because 92 targets of the Sustainable Development Goals are tied to human rights. So when we talk about occupational safety and health, they are human rights, they're fundamental human rights, because it is the duty of every business to ensure that the health and safety of their employees is core priority. They have to take care and protect their human capital. COVID came, we saw that you cannot work. People were home. You are tired, and how can your business progress if there are no employees to do the work? So it showed us that we really need to take this as serious as possible and work towards achieving it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for your insightful comment. A few words from Obina and Alan, and then we will have to wrap up this event for today. But please don't leave us, because Temi will be with us shortly with a few announcements. Before that, Obina, do you have any final thoughts on the question? Perhaps, Alan, you can take over until the connection is recovered.
Yeah, of course. I think what Naomi said is absolutely correct. We need to work together, and the collaboration is crucial. I think if the question refers to involving stakeholders who can translate and implement the high-level strategies, high-level goals rather, towards operational targets, then yes, absolutely, we must work together, and we can work together. We just don't want to be talking about this in the government buildings in Accra and Lagos. We want to be seeing it on the streets in Accra and Lagos, and in the countryside, and on the farms, and on the construction sites. Translating our collective ambition into real positive impacts on the ground through our networks, through our members, is why we're all here today. I believe we can do this, and we will do this. And it's exactly what we're talking about in our increased focus on human capital and sustainability. And we're going to promote more and more of this together with our good friends and collaborative partners over the coming months and years. We need to get into the boardrooms where we can influence the decision makers of the corporates and have the dialogue with them in every board meeting, just as they talk about finance and products and marketing. We need to be talking about the working conditions of the people that are employed, not just in their organizations, but right through the supply chains and the societies they touch. And we can do this. And by doing it, now's our moment, and we can provide as a collective the timely advice that big decision makers need to protect the lives of those they touch, and also drive the profits that their investors demand. So, yeah, exciting times ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm left with, unfortunately, no time to continue the discussion, which is absolutely worthy of continuing. Hopefully, there will be more occasions for this. I'm thankful to Naomi, and I'm thankful to Obina and Alan, and obviously all of our speakers. And I would like, and obviously, and thankful to the audience here in this who's with us today. I would now, with pleasure, like to invite Tammy to join us and to make her announcements. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mariana. That was an insightful session. And for those of you who didn't get to see me in the first session, my name is Temi Kukwala, and I'm the conference host for today. Whoa, it's been such a great day for safety and health and for all our IOSH professionals here in West Africa. And it's a good time to bring you this message in song. As safety belongs to all of us, we're working together towards one goal, for a safer nation and a brighter future for people. Enjoy.
We are different people from different nations, but with one voice, with one goal. Because we see safety as a priority, protecting our world from injuries, putting all we can for the future we see. For we think safety, safety for our people, safety in your workplace and your home. Yes, we think safety, safety in our nations, and a healthier, brighter future for our people. For we think safety, safety for our people, safety in your workplace and your home. Yes, we think safety, safety in our nations, and a healthier, brighter future for our people. So we stand for the laborer, for our vision of tomorrow starts today. So we've decided that we will sit and watch. So we stand up for the future with desire. For we think safety, safety for our people, safety in your workplace and your home. Yes, we think safety, safety in our nation, and the healthier, brighter future for our people. For we think safety, safety for our people, safety in your workplace and your home. Yes, we think safety, safety in our nation, the healthier, brighter future for our people. Whoa.
Wow, what a powerful song that was. Wonderful song with a great message. So please tell me in the comment section how you feel about today. What has been your favorite session and what have you taken away from today? You know, there's been a lot of great sessions right from the opening. We got to hear from the president of IOSH and then IOSH newly appointed chief executive, and then down to the last session. It's been a great one. I'd like to know how it has been for you. So I'd run straight to Swapcard now to find out what it has been like for you. Running straight to Swapcard to see your comments. Looking forward to reading them. Oh, so the most recent comments I see here are focused on the song. I see here that someone is asking whether he or she can have access to the song because it's a beautiful song. And someone is asking, what's the name of the song and the artist? Wow. I'm so loving the song. That's from Esther. Here, I see Charles say, thanks to the IOSH West African team for putting this together. It's a great first day. Sweet Safety Song there, says Martins. I hear James say, great song with good lyrics. I hear William say, this event specific song is the first, highly commendable IOSH. I hear, oh, I'd like to know what your favorite session is so far. Your favorite session. Please do want to drop your favorite session. Tell me about your favorite session so far and what's it been like for you. Melodious voice, superb comment. I had to comment on the lovely voice because that was such a beautiful voice. I agree with you. It was such a melodious voice. So tell me in the chat room, what have you taken away from today? What have you taken away from today? Just while I give my introduction, I realized that some people didn't get to see my face, so I'll go over it again. My name is Teivu Bola, and I'm so honored to be your host. I'll see you again tomorrow. It's been a great time for me since yesterday, rather since today. Sorry, I said yesterday because I've been thinking about this program all week long, and I'm finally glad that we are doing it now. And so it's such an honor to be here. So let me know what you are thinking about the program today, about the conference today, first day here. And let me read out your chat. Oh, sorry, I've got one here. It says that it's been superbly knowledgeable. It's been superbly knowledgeable. Isa says it's been an amazing day. I've learned a lot. Really enjoyed the emotional intelligence session and workers engagement session. So hard to pick a favorite. I know, I can relate. So hard to pick a favorite. Great song. I love the emotional intelligence session with great learnings. All right, I see another one here from Dako saying it's amazing. I hear Emmanuel say that safety is a way of life, and this song is touching. Absolutely stunning. First from IOSH West Africa, we are blazing the trail, and that's from Dr. Omolade. Okay, we've got a lot of comments here. I can read all of them, but please keep them coming. Keep them coming. I'll take as many as I can whenever we've got the opportunity. Because as I said earlier, it's not a one-way conversation. We talk, you listen, you talk, we listen. That's what we do here at IOSH West African Conference 2021. It's been such a great day. I've got an announcement for you now, for everyone who is listening. There's an IOSH session taking place on continuous professional development shortly. So please join the IOSH second swap card if you've got any questions on this. Also, please feel free to carry on networking or head over to the fun photo booth. Remember the fun photo booth right there on the swap card. You click on the photo booth icon and you get to take lovely pictures with very nice edits and upload on Swapcard and share as well across social media platforms. So take a photo and let people know what you've experienced with IOSH today. Don't forget to tag IOSH to your post and use the hashtag IOSHWAC21. IOSHWAC21. The hashtag is right there on your screen. IOSHWAC21. Please don't forget to use the hashtag IOSHWAC21. And so drum rolls now. It's almost time for me to make that big announcement that you have been waiting for, the winner of the competition. But I'm not going to make the announcement until I see some very happy emojis, like nice faces, smiley, or your favorite emojis, round of applause, any of your favorite emojis in the chat room. So right here on Swapcard, I'd like you to drop your favorite emoji as we make the announcement for the winner of the competition. So let me see them here on Swapcard before I make the announcement. Right. Anybody wants to know who the winner is? For today, so I'm still going to make the announcement for today, but let me just see some happy emojis before we make the announcement. Okay, so I see one emoji here. I see another one. This is a love struck emoji saying that this person, Zoo, I'm not sure if I pronounced his name well, but Zahurat has enjoyed the conference. I see Rashid with the clap emoji. I see Charles with his happy emoji. And a number of people just dropping their emojis. Please keep them coming. And drum rolls. Henry, thank you. James, Godson, Michael, I see you. I see you right there, Michael. I see you, Michael, at Debajan. There's also Michael Robinson right here dropping your emoji. Okay, we've got a number of emojis coming in on Swapcard, and I think it will be safe to make the announcement now. So, today's competition winner. I'd now like to announce the winners of our competition. First of all, well done to everyone who has entered all the polls throughout day one of the conference. A very large number of people took part, and I'm pleased to declare that the winner of a free place on an IOSH Level 3 certificate course are Munachimso Umbichego and Aguman Okorampa. Again, I'll take the name. Munachimso Umbichego and Aguman Okorampa. And the names are going to be put on the screen just so that you see the spelling of the name. And you're sure, sometimes you want to be sure whether it's your name. The name sounds like my name, sounds like my first name. I'm not sure if it's my surname. Don't worry, the name will just be put on your screen now, and you'll have access to see the winners. Once again, congratulations. Please join us again for tomorrow. It's day 2 tomorrow. And don't forget, there's another competition up tomorrow, another opportunity to win 2 places on an IOSH training. So you want to be a part of this. I mean, even if you didn't win today, you can win tomorrow. And even if you won today, it's another opportunity to have an enlightening session tomorrow. I mean, where would you rather be than IOSH WAC 2021? I'm going to be here tomorrow, and I expect that you will be here tomorrow because I will be waiting to see your comments, to see your emojis, to see you right here, at the IOSH WAC 2020.